All right.
You're just gonna hold that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you do Aikido, but you're also a musician. What do you see is there a common thread between those, and what do you see as that common thread?
Sure. Actually, the answer is kind of similar with martial arts. I think the art part of martial arts is what's similar to the art of playing the piano, and there's something that's common through really anything you take up consciously. And I guess the role of the relationship between meditation and the arts is that the way you do something, the quality of the attention that you bring to what you're doing, is deeply influenced by developing your own consciousness. So the more deeply you can cultivate consciousness and stillness, then the more still and steady a presence you bring to your artistry. And just the way you practice the piano, actually, if there's kind of a simple metaphor, you can kind of strain and go too fast, and basically you're reacting unconsciously and you're hanging on. But what you end up doing is making mistakes, and you get better at playing the wrong notes, essentially. But through meditation, you're cultivating that deep stillness and that presence, and when you bring that presence to your artistry, you're functioning from a still place inside, and so every move is intentional, is imbued with consciousness, and that's what gives you that sense of artistry in every note. And like I've said in one of the other interviews we did, it's not the notes that contains the music, it's the gaps between the notes. And that's where your consciousness comes through. So there's kind of a flow state with playing the piano as well. So yeah.
It's really beautiful. So do you want to just tell me the story of how you got into playing the piano?
Sure,
how you
yeah.
started?
Sure.
What was the inspiration behind that?
Mm-hmm. The inspiration was, actually I didn't want to do it. It was required for one of my early college courses. I wanted to take an Eastern percussion class, so there was a tabla class offered, and yeah, it was great stuff I did when I was a kid. I thought, I'll just take an elective in it, and piano was required, like I said, and I didn't want to play. But as soon as I saw my piano professor there, Paul Jones, who's an Oberlin and Juilliard graduate, I knew that I wanted to do that. He was playing the Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto, which is kind of the most difficult concerto in the repertory, and so that was quite inspiring. And didn't know what I was getting into, but I started playing about 6 hours a day and taught myself to sight read music, and had my lessons there with Paul. But basically just dove in to the deep end and played. Overall, I played 3 years, about 6 hours a day on average, sometimes more, sometimes less. So just pouring myself into it full time with total focus, and ended up giving an undergraduate recital, which I kind of faked pretty well, we'll say, as far as the amount of time I've been practicing. And then in the end of all of that, decided to go back to martial arts because it was just too much, too late. But I still have piano for myself, and I can't remember if I said before, but basically it's a different way to check in with myself. I think art in general mirrors yourself. I said before, all knowledge is self-knowledge. So when you sit down and play the piano, you get a sense of how you are, how yourself is, and the way that you're playing the piano, and your capacity to kind of settle into it and play from a place of stillness inside is something that transfers to life outside of the music hall or off the mat. So you can really work on those things through art if you're conscious of the fact that that's going on as well, that it's a process of self-mastery and kind of stillness and motion, or they talk about martial arts as moving Zen, or stillness and motion, and the same thing very much in piano, and that's when everything starts to flow. And you don't lose your inner stillness, you don't play so fast and go so crazy that you lose your inner stillness or presence. So, so through it all, I still have that as kind of another way to check in with myself, and kind of like doing yoga or meditating. Except kind of just integrating it, acting from it, whereas the meditation just kind of deepens the stillness. The art is really of acting from it. That's the Art of Living piece about art.
Great. Let's see. All the questions Sam has, you totally just answered, like, perfectly. It's like, did you teach yourself at first? You were talking about establishing silence within, and you just talked a lot about that, and how that comes out